Hello and welcome to Awesome Bundesliga Matchday 29. We have a Klassiker this weekend, a little bit decaf because both German giants are coming from from defeats. Let's talk about defeats only for Bayern Munich, but from defeats in the Champions League. So I'm sure they are thinking about the second leg, especially the Bavarian team. Ronan Murphy, hello.
Yeah, I think Borussia Dortmund maybe might need an Irish coffee to get them through after that defeat on Wednesday night. But yeah, Bayern Munich, they still have a lot to play for, so it would be interesting to see kind of what lineup they play against Borussia Dortmund this weekend, because I think we can say for certainty, I know people are saying that Real Madrid might have their usual Champions League pact and they can overturn a 3-goal deficit, but Borussia Dortmund, a 4-goal deficit against Barcelona, I'd say it's not going to happen. So and what's happening in the Bundesliga for them, I don't know really. So we have to see what kind of lineup they'll put out, because we had said winning the Champions League was their only path back to the Champions League this season, but that seems over too. So what paths are left to Europe for Borussia Dortmund? It's going to be a long few weeks for them.
I think the remontada for Dortmund is 100 or something like this. I checked this morning the odds on Bet365. Do you like Irish coffee as an Irishman?
I don't. I like coffee. I like my coffee and alcohol separate. Yeah.
Okay.
One for the day and one for the weekend, I think.
Nice. Well, espresso martinis are nice. The best of both worlds together. Well, guys, now let's talk about the odds and about the Bundesliga games. If you enjoy our videos, support us. Now let's go on with the show. And this time for a Friday evening, we have a good game. Wolfsburg, RB Leipzig, the Eastern Germany or former Eastern Germany team. Leipzig only 1 point behind the Mainz, beat Hoffenheim, but they played against them men basically the whole game, at least. After the defeat in the Pokal semifinals, they are fighting for the Champions League spots. And Wolfsburg in the middle of the table, 3 consecutive defeats, 1-0 for them.
Yeah, all the matches have been 3 1-0s in a row. So yeah, I think will there be another 1-0 here? Leipzig obviously scored more goals last week, but like you said, it was thanks to that red card for Hoffenheim. But 𝐶SKA getting back on the score sheet is a good sign. So Löw has had a good start to his managerial career at RB Leipzig, so long may it continue for him and for the Red Bull organization. This week as well, the player of the month for the Bundesliga for April was announced, and for March was announced, and surprisingly, Xavi Simons was on the list. That kind of is a bit puzzling, because I didn't think he had his best month, but the people who vote for these sort of things seem to think he does. But like we've said before, he'll need to have a big kind of campaign between now and the end of the season, because he is for sale this summer. So let's see what happens there. He will need to chip in with more goals and more assists, because RB Leipzig haven't been scoring many goals recently, or even this season. They haven't really been scoring many goals, as many goals they have in the past. They're only averaging 1.6 goals a game in the Bundesliga, which is very low for RB Leipzig, because we're used to seeing this vertical team, this counter-attacking team, this direct football, kind of high-intensity performances from them, and that just hasn't happened this season for them. And Wolfsburg are a team that don't really allow too many of those performances against them. They're kind of known for being a team with a strong defence. I know they've lost 3 games in a row, but they've all been only 1-0, so they're keeping the scorers down. They're just not scoring themselves at the other end. Their average goals, amazingly, is slightly higher, 1.8 in the Bundesliga. So I think this could be another low-scoring game and maybe another low-scoring defeat for Wolfsburg. So correct score for Leipzig to win 1-0 is 11 in this one. If you want to go for another 1-0 defeat for Wolfsburg, 4 in a row. It was a 1-0 win for Leipzig in the Cup in February, so don't rule that one totally out. The most common result as well is a 1-0 result in Wolfsburg, but that is to Wolfsburg on the other hand. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair. So for that, I'm going to go for total goals under 2.75, which is 199.
All right, let's go on with the games on Saturday. Gladbach Freiburg is the first one. This is very important for the European spots. Gladbach drew with St Pauli after back-to-back wins, including RB Leipzig, for instance. Even they are only 2 points away from the Champions League spots. And Freiburg is the opposite tendency. No wins in the last 5 and lost. They were thrashed actually by Dortmund at home and lost to Union Berlin also at home.
Yeah, bad form for Freiburg at the moment. No wins in their last 5 games. Those back-to-back defeats are pretty disappointing, especially that one against Borussia Dortmund. But they would see a team themselves as a team that should be able to beat Union Berlin on a regular basis too. Borussia Mönchengladbach, I was watching that game last week, and they did everything they did. They did everything in their power to throw away that 1-goal lead against St Pauli. They just put on every single defender they had. I think there was 4 centre backs and 2 goal that St Pauli scored was a rocket, but they seemed happy to win 1-0. Whereas when you're playing St Pauli, you should be going for more goals, and that kind of was their undoing. And they can't expect their goalkeeper to save every chance, because Thiago Pereira Cardozo had kept clean sheets, had been keeping clean sheets. He'd gone 284 minutes without conceding a goal in the Bundesliga, which was the 4th best ever start for a goalkeeper in Bundesliga history. But he would have needed to keep a clean sheet in that game, and then again this week to break the record. That's not going to happen. But they were restricting teams to few chances, but I think they just went too defensive last week, tried to hold on to a 1-0 lead. So they should, if they can go ahead in this game, they should try to go for more goals instead of go for a draw or a win. And yeah, Gladbach undefeated in 3. But like I said, that game, that result and that performance has kind of got to demoralise them a bit, because they were heading for a win they should have gotten. So the most common result here is 1-1. The most common result in Mönchengladbach is 1-1. Correct score again. I'm going to give 2 correct scores early and forget about that for the rest of the show. But yeah, correct score for this one 1-1 is 7.25. But this one has the writing of a draw all over it. So that's why I really like the odds of a draw in this one. It's 3.73 because it's hard to separate these teams. And Borussia Mönchengladbach, even when they're winning, they just can't find ways to win.
Well, just Tarta, finally catch you guys live. I want to say thank you for amazing tips and a great show. I told my friends about you. Thank you very much. Next one, Leverkusen Union Berlin is still in the title race. Xabi Alonso's men, after beating Heidenheim in the very last minute, with Buendia scoring that winner after the KO in the Pokal. So in the Bundesliga, the streak actually is good. 5 wins in the last 6. Let's see if they can capitalize on Bayern Munich's distraction with the Champions League. Union Berlin is a difficult team right now to beat, really in form. Ronan, 10 points out of the last 12.
Yeah, they are. The only thing is, I suppose, if you look at these 2 teams' last 8 meetings, Union Berlin have won none of them, so that should be a positive for Bayer Leverkusen. And Bayer Leverkusen, like you said, they've been in good form in the Bundesliga. They've been in good form in this fixture too. They've won the last 3 meetings, and the great news coming out of the Leverkusen camp is that Florian Wirtz should be fit to play. Simon Rolfe has said that he will be fit to play, were the exact words he used. So there's a hope that Florian Wirtz can come back and reignite their season. But I suppose that before he was getting injured, he wasn't as impactful as maybe he has been in the past. He wasn't getting as many goals and assists. And I had a look at the the goal to score or assists to odds, and it looks good for Wirtz, but I think it might take a game or 2 for him to get back up and running. And like I said, he wasn't necessarily having his best season statistically this season either, and that was maybe one of the reasons that Leverkusen weren't scoring as many goals as they should have, or they have been in the past. Jonas Hoffmann, statistically, on the other hand, he has been unbeatable for Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. He's now 39 games without a defeat. If he goes this match, if he plays in this match and Bayer Leverkusen don't win, it'll be the best ever start for any player of any Bundesliga team in history, because the 2 matches Leverkusen played this season, he was injured for one, he was ill for the other. So if he's if he's in the squad, they're not going to lose. But if he's not out, that's the time to have a look and see, can you bet on the opposition and maybe make a few pounds or a few euros or a few dollars. Yeah, this one, like I said, Leverkusen have won the last 3 meetings. Union Berlin have no wins in the last 8 times they've met, but Union Berlin tend to keep matches tight, and that's what's happened. 4 of the last 8 meetings have been draws, and the last 2 meetings have been decided by 1 goal. So I like the look of Union Berlin plus 1 Asian handicap plus 1.5 at 193, because if you look at the odds on the screen there, a second ago, Union Berlin 10 to win this one. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they can keep this one pretty close.
Leverkusen form has been shaky lately, so Penchev thinks betting on Berlin to score at least a goal is a good idea. Now, again, the rumors pointing Xabi Alonso to Real Madrid these days, since his future is still uncertain. And next one is Hoffenheim Mainz. Hoffenheim is still in danger, 5 points away from the bottom 3. They are in a bad streak now. 2 draws and 2 defeats, and at home is even worse. The last 5 home games, or 4 out of the last 5 home games, were draws, and they haven't won at home since the 23rd of November. So long time ago. But Mainz are also in bad form. It's 2 points in the last 3 games and dropping from the European spots.
Yeah, the only thing is, I suppose they've won those games they played was a defeat to Dortmund. They've been scoring a lot of goals. They've scored in each of their last 7 games. And yeah, they're still in a Champions League spot. Hoffenheim are kind of firmly in mid-table, and they haven't been scoring a lot of goals themselves. In their last 4 games, they've drawn and lost, but they've only scored 3 goals, and they haven't scored more than 1 goal in any of their last 6 matches. And last weekend's goal was a Tom Bischoff rocket, and that's his 4th goal from outside the box this season. Only 3 players in Europe's top 5 leagues have more goals from outside the box than him, and 𝐿𝐵𝐴 𝐿𝐴𝐶𝐞𝐿 and Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League, and 𝐻𝐵𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐴 is the other man that loves a long range shot. So yeah, Hoffenheim can't keep defending on Tom Bischoff to score long range goals for him. Definitely not next season, because he's off to Bayern Munich in the summer. So yeah, the good news for Mainz is that 𝗙𝗵𝐿𝐴 is back, and that's good news for anyone who likes to bet on at the cards market. There wasn't odds when I checked last night to see could he be booked, but his suspension should be over and he should be back in the team. Nadim Amiri is suspended, so 𝗙𝗵𝐿𝐴 should come back in. He should pick up his customary yellow card, because he is has the worst disciplinary record in Bundesliga history this season. So good for him, and long may it continue for anyone who likes betting on bookings. Mainz, I think, can win this one. Hoffenheim are terrible at home, like you said. You have to go back a long time before you get any sort of positive news coming out of Hoffenheim, I should say. And Mainz are very good on the road. They're 3rd in the away table, so I like the look of Mainz Asian handicap 0 at 184. But even bigger than that, I'm going to go for Mainz just to win this match. I'm confident Mainz can do something against Hoffenheim, because Hoffenheim just can't score at the moment.
Leo Messi is also going actually for Mainz draw no bet. So if there is a draw, you get your money back, or just bet on Mainz to win. 2.5. Kiel St Pauli is the next one. This is very important for the relegation battle. Kiel, bottom of the table, 4 points away from Heidenheim. St Pauli, 4 points away from Heidenheim as well, but outside the relegation spots. It's impossible to back Kiel. I don't know if we should back St Pauli actually for this game. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I like the look of value wise in this one, because it's hard to pick either team as a winner in this one. The only thing is the goals. I'm hoping for goals in this game, because earlier this season I was at it in Hamburg. I watched St Pauli win their first home game and scored 3 goals in that one. They won 3-1 in Hamburg. So, and if you look back last season when they were playing in the second division, the Pauli won 4-3 and 5-1, and then even the season before when Pauli were playing away at Kiel in the second Bundesliga as well, they won 4-3 in that one as well. So this one tends to give us goals, so we're hoping for goals in this one. It's hard to pick who was definitely going to win this one, because both teams are super inconsistent. That's why they are where they are in the table. But yeah, this one is a match that usually gives us goals. In the last 15 times they've played each other, there's only been one 0-0 draw, so we should have goals in this one. Total goals over 2.5 is 2.01. Could be a good option. 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐶 in the comments is saying both teams score and over 2.5 goals. Yeah, I like to look at that one. But I also, even more so, like the fact that there's been over 1.5 goals at halftime in 60% of Holstein Kiel's games this season. So I think that's going to happen again here, and I hope it happens again here. So total first half goals over 1.25 is 242.
Both teams to score and over as well, 2.5 goals for 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐶. Then we have Bochum, Augsburg. Bochum right now going to Bundesliga 2, 2 points away from Heidenheim. They were smashed by Stuttgart at home and lost the last 3 games, conceding 10 goals. But somehow they are still favorites against Augsburg, even if Augsburg, they have no goals until the end of the season, but they had really decent results. I'm surprised with these odds.
Yeah, Augsburg lost to Bayern Munich last weekend, but that's not a surprise in that derby game. But before that, they were on a run of 7 undefeated games. So kind of you wonder where these high odds are coming from and where the discrepancy in the odds is coming from. Bochum have beaten Bayern this year, and obviously we'll talk about that, and they'll talk about that. But since they've beaten Bayern, they've lost 3 games in a row and conceded 3 or more goals in them all. So yeah, Stuttgart dismantled them last week. It was a 4-0 defeat to Stuttgart last weekend, and yeah, Bochum, they just look hopeless at the moment. That win against Bayern, that performance against Borussia Dortmund just seemed to be exceptions to the rule of Bochum kind of going to lose every match. The game earlier this season was a 1-0 win for Augsburg. These are teams that do not score goals. Augsburg are known for not conceding goals. Bochum are averaging exactly 1 goal a game this season, and Augsburg are averaging 1.1 goals per game. And Augsburg's goals conceded is also 1.4, so they're not tending to concede too many. Bochum don't have too many players that can score those goals. So both teams to score, yes, has happened only 48% of the time for Bochum, 47% of the time for Augsburg. Augsburg in 2025, they've had 6 of the last 8 games, both teams to score no, and most of their games this year have been both teams to score no, so that's why I'm going for both teams to score no in this match.
Okay, Augsburg draw no bet could be another option, as 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐶 is telling us. And then the game of the games this weekend, and in Germany in general, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund a bit decaf this year because Dortmund are 8th in the standings, but still fighting to get into the European spots and with a good streak, at least in the Bundesliga, between Freiburg and Mainz. But of course, this game is blurry by the Champions League quarterfinals. Both teams are involved in this competition, with Bayern Munich trying to make a comeback next week in San Siro. Probably there is more turnover, no, in Kompany's men than in Dortmund, given the results we saw in the first leg of the Champions League, and perhaps Borussia Dortmund can take advantage of it. Remember that last season they were able to win here at the Allianz.
Yeah, they were, and earlier this season they were definitely more than value for their draw against Bayern Munich in Borussia Dortmund's home ground in Signal Iduna Park. So, yeah, Borussia Dortmund, they have had a decent record against Bayern Munich in recent years, and they can continue that here. And like you said, Bayern Munich may have to rotate a lot. We might see Alexander Pavlovich come be back for this one. He's back in training, and he would be a boost to have him back in for the second leg against Inter in Champions League, because he kind of provides something different in midfield. 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐿 was very busy and tends to be very busy, but sometimes he can look busy, but you kind of wonder what he's kind of contributing. So Pavlovich is a much tidier player. He's obviously more defensive than 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐿, but he provides something different. And you saw in that Inter match that when Bayern made changes late on, Sacha Boey was brought on a right back, when maybe if you had someone like Pavlovich to bring on, you could push 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 out to right back and he could provide an option out there, and then you would still have stability in midfield. Whereas Inter's winner came kind of because Boey was exposed. I know the whole defence was exposed. Eric Dyer definitely got plenty of comments on social media for it, but yeah, Bayern Munich they need to kind of look at what other options they have, because Inter, we know, are very good defensively, and this game against Borussia Dortmund, I think, will be an afterthought at the moment for Vincent Kompany. He'll be looking maybe to field a weaker team or rotated team. You could see Thomas Muller play from the start even. And Borussia Dortmund, they have to kind of come back and lick in their wounds. They need to get something from this match, because the Champions League performance on Wednesday night was a disaster. So they have to bounce back and do something here. 𝗔𝐿𝐴 could be an interesting one to have a look at, to do something. He's the fourth Englishman to score for Borussia Dortmund. No other team in the Bundesliga have more than 2 English players scoring. Obviously, Bellingham and Sancho are the others, and Gittins them as well in recent times. So, bad news for Borussia Dortmund was Nico Schlotterbeck has been ruled out for the rest of the season. This match tends to be a both teams to score yes match, so I like both teams to score yes here. Bayern have both teams to score yes in each of their last 4 games in all 4 competitions. Most common result in Munich is a 2-1. So I like this match to have goals, because Borussia Dortmund will be looking to win it. Bayern Munich might field some weaker players. Total goals over 3.5 is 2.07. But I'm picking out one player in particular. If he plays in this, if he starts, maybe he'll be given a rest, but keep an eye on the lineup, because I really like the odds for him to provide an assist, because Michael Olise, he has 10 assists in the Bundesliga this season. That's the second most for a debut season in the Bundesliga. Only one player has more, and that's James Rodriguez, who had 11 after joining Bayern Munich in 2017, 2018. Michael Olise to get over half an assist in this one. So if he starts, it could be worth a go bet. It's 350. I really like the look of it.
All right, both teams to score is good for 𝗵𝐿 and also for Leo Messi. Perhaps Müller to score again, no? Now that we know his future, it was nice to see him scoring, but it's a massive test for Bayern Munich and for Kompany. I'm sure in an exigent club like Bayern Munich, they won't be very happy only winning the Bundesliga this season if they are finally knocked out by Inter in the Champions League. So the whole season, and who knows if his future is on the stake next week in San Siro. And we have 2 more games on Sunday. Stuttgart, Werder Bremen, both teams trying to get into the European spots, and it could be possible. Actually, Stuttgart beat Bochum with 𝗵𝐿 scoring a hat-trick. Also, they have an open opportunity to qualify for Europe via the Pokal, since they are in the final and they are super favorites to win it. And Werder Bremen can be dangerous. They are in good form. And for instance, they beat Frankfurt or Leverkusen recently.
Yeah, the last 2 away games were 2-0 win over Leverkusen and 3-0 win over Kiel. So that's kind of bad news for Stuttgart. And Bremen back-to-back wins. They've scored in each of their last 5 games. And like you said, 𝗵𝐿 was on target 3 times in that win against Bochum. He has 13 goals in the Bundesliga this season, but only 4 of them are at home. He tends to score all his goals on the road. That's 9 away goals he has in the Bundesliga this season. So don't count on him scoring another hat-trick. I think it was his first hat-trick in his career anyway. So he doesn't tend to do it too often. Stuttgart have gone 6 games without a win before obviously winning the cup, like you said. They beat Leipzig in the cup and then beat Bochum last weekend. So they had been in bad form, and I think this is a match that Werder Bremen have a pretty good chance of getting something from. And the most common result in it in the past is a draw. It's a 0-0 draw. In fact, I'm not sure it's necessarily going to be a 0-0 here, but I think Bremen can get something here because they have been good on the road. They have been good recently on the road. Like I said, that win over Leverkusen is definitely the standout, but I think they can get something in this match. So I really like to look for Bremen double chance at 2.33.
Great odds indeed. Werder Bremen, both teams to score. Not sure what does it mean if it's Werder Bremen to win and both teams to score. For instance, the odds might be massive, since Werder Bremen only to win is 4.8. Really, really high odds. And for the last, we have Eintracht Frankfurt, Heidenheim. Remember, Frankfurt playing in Europe, playing against Spurs, so also their mind is in the Europa League. Although they have to keep an eye on the Bundesliga, since they are 3rd, but 3 points away only from Leipzig. So they have to fight to not lose the Champions League spots. 4 defeats in the last 6 Bundesliga games. But of course, we have Heidenheim. a team that they should beat. And the odds are massive for Frankfurt, actually. 1.7 are really high odds.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good, especially considering the quality of opposition. And I think maybe some of the recent results have led into that. But the recent results that have been disappointing haven't been against teams of the kind of pedigree of Heidenheim, which is not much of a pedigree at all. Last season, Frankfurt won both games, 2-0 at home, 2-1 away. This season, they won 4-0 away in Heidenheim. So yeah, they definitely have the match for Heidenheim. They haven't figured out. Heidenheim on the road are just as disappointing as they are everywhere else. They're 16th in the away table. They've just 3 wins away all season, so I don't think they're going to get another one here. I do like Frankfurt to win at 176, like you said. That's pretty good. But having a look at when Frankfurt score goals and the fact that they are in the Europa League, they have to face Spurs, that might make them tired towards the end of the game, but I think they'll need to come out all guns blazing and kind of make a point against Heidenheim in this one. So Frankfurt score most of their goals in the first half. 24% of their total goals come between the 16th and 30th minute. So I think Frankfurt will win the first half in this one. So that's even better than Frankfurt winning the match. So it's 2.26 for first half. Eintracht Frankfurt win.
Okay, Ronan, this is it for our new Bundesliga show with 3 German teams still involved in the European competition. So take this in consideration when you are placing your bets in the Bundesliga. Also, just remember that we have our tipster competitions going on where you can win some cash prizes. For instance, the monthly one with this Ukrainian guy leading, followed by this Portuguese guy, and followed by this Moldavian guy. And we have also rivals if you want to create your tipster competition and play with your friends. Ronan, let's go with your safe bet for this weekend.
My safe bet this weekend is Frankfurt Asian Handicap 0 at 133.
And the European ACCA was not nailed just because Dortmund are not scoring. Are you putting Dortmund, both teams to score, for instance, in your Bundesliga ACCA?
No, I am not. I'm going to make it a tip Central Asian Handicap 0 kind of fest to end this show. So I'm going for Mainz Asian Handicap 0 and Augsburg Asian Handicap 0 for a total of 397.
There you go. Great odds. If you are even more brave, you can go for a straight win and the odds are even higher. Thank you, everyone watching. Thank you, Ronan. Enjoy your coffee and your whiskey separate and see you next week. Bye-bye.